on war, how you gon' beef for you ain't got funds? Better gain the whole clique, my nigga live anything. Chain hanging.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, say we back with another video, y'all. Y'all come on, tap on that. Now, if y'all thought for a split second, bro, Spitter was about to sit here for 6 hours in duration, nigga, you lying to me. Nigga, please. Now, I'm not about to do that, bro. Aiden Ross, not about to call that boy Aiden Ross, bro. Trapland Ross is too hot out here, bro. This nigga done literally, bro, made a 6-hour documentary about any NBA YoungBoy, bro. It's why I be a real killer of fake gangster. That's tough. The brother should have put this on Netflix, bro. 6 hours long. I don't think they got a movie 6 hours long. Probably with the Titanic, but the Titanic are not even 6 hours long. That's tough. The brother's too hot out here, you feel me? But we about to tap on that, I salute him, bro, because like, I'm not about to sit on my ass and make a documentary about somebody's life for 6 hours, bro. So he got good time, and he got a lot of time on this day, bro. But we about to tap on that, man, on YoungBoy, real killer or fake gangster, bro. Let's get it popping, class in session. Let's see what's going on. We gonna break the video down, of course, though, bro. But yeah, though, y'all let me know what y'all want part 2.
This video contains themes of violence, death, and gang activity. The purpose of this video is to provide an educational account of historical events in the mainstream music industry. No disrespect is intended. This video does not intend to glorify or glamorize the gang lifestyle. Every effort has been made to remove anything from this video that goes against YouTube's guidelines, including swearing and violence. But if you'd like to see a fully uncut version of this video with everything I can't show you on YouTube, then head on over to patreon.com/traplawross, where you can watch all of my biggest documentaries uncut for just $2. But if you're not into that, just hit the subscribe button and enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you. Over the last 5 years, there's been few rappers that have generated as much excitement and controversy as YoungBoy. His music is personal, thought-provoking, and violent in equal measure. He's one of the few artists who can top the Billboard charts with music all about killing, death, and destruction. But his ability to communicate the stark realities of life growing up in the dangerous slums of Baton Rouge have inspired people all over America and the world at large. YoungBoy's experiences in the gang-infested...
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, bro. For some reason, bro, I know this don't got nothing to do with the video at all, bro. But I think Trapland Ross stole my clip, bro. Cause if y'all don't know, bro, I went to YB Hood, bro, and it looked like we had the same camera angle, bro. I swear to God, bro. The brother is too hot out here, bro.
Slums of Louisiana, where it's kill or be killed, inspired a generation of downtrodden youngsters to struggle through the pain too. Because despite losing family members and being the target of numerous assassination attempts, YoungBoy has always managed to come out on top. Not just surviving, but beating the odds and coming back bigger every single time. It's rare to find an artist who attracts this much love and hate all at the same time. And YoungBoy's thugged out survival anthems for the streets have made him one of the most beloved artists in history. But his influence has a dark side too, because some might say that his aggressive murder anthems are inspiring a generation of lost teenagers to slide and resort to violence just like he had to. But can YoungBoy really be blamed? When basketball player Ja Morant ended up in hot water for flashing a gun in a strip club to YoungBoy's music, many people suggested that this was YoungBoy's fault. And considering just how many lives seem to have been lost as a direct result of YoungBoy's career...
Hey, I ain't gonna hold y'all, bro. A lot of people was blaming that on top, bro. Like, Ja Morant is a grown-ass man that's holding the gun. Like, bro, like, alright, YoungBoy make this gangsta music and shit like that, bro. You can listen to the music or whatnot, bro, but is you stupid enough to actually go commit a crime because YoungBoy said, go slide on the option here, type shit, and you gonna go do that? You gotta be the most stupidest person in the world, bro. Like, it's just music, but I understand, but like, motherfuckers don't be having their own mind of their own, and motherfuckers really go slide to NBA YoungBoy music, so YoungBoy could get the blame for it a little bit because he put that in the universe. But hey, it is what it is, though, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Whether it's the murder of rival Baton Rouge rapper G Money, to the slaying of YoungBoy's beloved manager Big Dump, or even the killing of Chicago rap legend King Von, seemingly a self-defense shooting, the result of Von trying to fight one of YoungBoy's friends, to say YoungBoy and his NBA crew are dangerous would be an understatement. But is the group of people that YoungBoy surrounds himself a gang of loose cannons shooting first and asking questions later, or are they just really a family of youngsters with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that they would put their lives on the line to protect? Over the course of his career, so many people have died that YoungBoy even refers to himself as the Murder Man, and claiming in numerous songs to have been the direct cause of as many as 7 murders in his hometown. Over the years, many people have questioned the authenticity of YoungBoy's gangster image.
You got cap in your raps. YoungBoy talking about on this song, bro.
In spite of all of the violence surrounding his career, in 2022, YoungBoy had a change of heart, perhaps coming the result of reflecting on all of the destruction and pain that had been caused by his music career, or as a result of years of legal battles that have seen YoungBoy endlessly confined to a cell or on house arrest.
YoungBoy, you an ugly ass
Recently,
boy, huh?
he's been calling to stop the violence,
Fade
pledging in
head,
interviews
bro.
to stop promoting murder and violence in his songs,
scared of people.
and even
People are
taking
cruel.
steps to de-escalate the conflict with his most hated rivals in Baton Rouge, with YoungBoy's crew even sharing the stage with their mortal enemy Fredo Bang for a special charity concert aiming to stop the violence. But that said, even these intentions have been called into question, when after pledging to stop the violence, YoungBoy continues to drop violent murder anthems back to back. So, the $50 million question remains unanswered. Is YoungBoy really a gravedigger, the self-proclaimed murder man of Baton Rouge, really serious about stopping the violence? Or is this all just a ploy to try and avoid the responsibility for convincing a generation of teenagers to pick up a gun and get active in the streets? Well, today we're going to take a closer look at the murders, the music, and the man, and decide once and for all, is YoungBoy really as dangerous as they say he is?
Hey, I ain't gonna hold y'all, bro. My personal opinion on Top, bro. I think Top probably be a real cool ass nigga in real life, bro. And nigga said, man, Top say stop the violence. People are cruel. I'm scared of people, bro. Man, YoungBoy is playing on y'all, bro. Spitter, what you talking about, bro? I feel like YoungBoy is saying stop the violence, you heard me? Because nigga on house arrest, bro. He trying to beat this charge that he got over his head, bro. Like, so fuck. Of course I'm gonna play like I'm changing and I'm a good person and not saying you're a bad person, but of course I'm act like I'm trying to stop the violence and saying people are cruel and I'm scared of people, bro. I think YoungBoy still that same nigga, bro, that he was in 2018, bro. Not saying nigga can't change, bro, but come on, bro. Y'all think why he painting his nails and wearing face paint because he want to do it? Fuck no, man. That man trying to push a agenda and food on white people, would you ask me, but I could be wrong, bro. So like I said, bro, this is my thoughts, bro. Y'all get y'all thoughts and opinions, bro. But let's get it.
It's either you gonna die, you either gonna be a bum, or you gonna be successful, or you gonna go to jail. And the reason I act that way is because the scary part, I don't know which one I'm gonna be. But I ain't dumb though. You hear me? And the people who play that role to y'all, them bitches know I ain't dumb. The people who really know me, they know I ain't dumb. You hear me? How the f I came this far? You think I came this far by being dumb? Oh man.
Today's story takes place in the state of Louisiana. Louisiana is in the United States Deep South, a historic region of the US with a dark history. The Deep South has had deep ties to the historic slave trade, with these particular states like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia historically being heavily dependent on the plantation system, which saw black people kidnapped from their native lands in Africa and put to work against their will in cotton fields for the benefit of white Americans.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, bro. He speaking fast, bro. Cause my grandmother told me the same shit, bro. I said, Grandma, what you used to do when you was a kid, like for a job and shit? You hear me? She said she was in the cotton field picking cotton and shit. I swear to God, so he ain't never lying about that. So he on point right now, bro. He speaking facts though, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Niggas really wasn't that cotton.
Even after the Confederate States
but
lost
I ain't
the
have to
Civil
go to
War
the cotton
and slavery
field,
was abolished, racism continued to cast a shadow over Louisiana for many years. Attempts were made to restrict free black people from voting, and racist organizations like the White League were formed in Louisiana to terrorize, intimidate, and target the black community there. Eventually, after World War II, in the face of the civil rights movement, black people in Louisiana finally begun to exercise their right to vote. And in 1960, this saw the establishment of groups like the Louisiana State Sovereignty Commission with an aim to battle racial segregation in the state, particularly in schools. During these years of segregation, it's believed that many African Americans fled Louisiana to states like California, seeking better treatment and opportunities. However, analysis by William Frey suggested that in decades that followed, due to better civil rights in Louisiana, many black migrants were actually attracted back to the state. But despite these improvements, however, Louisiana still remained a difficult place to grow up black through the 90s and the noughties. The state's incarceration rates have been at the very top in the world for decades now, and although black people are a minority in the state of Louisiana, the majority of the population in correctional facilities have been black. Louisiana has the second highest poverty rate in America, and here too, black people seem to suffer the worst. Moreover, the devastating events of Hurricane Katrina and subsequent flooding left tens of thousands of Louisiana residents stranded, with those affected being disproportionately African American.
I remember this shit, bro. Nigga, I was in Hurricane Katrina. I swear to God, I can't make this shit up, bro. I remember this shit like yesterday. Nigga had put us in the Superdome, bro. Nigga, we was in the Superdome. I saw all kind of shit in the Superdome. I ain't gonna hold y'all, bro. We stayed in that bitch for probably like 5 days, bro. A lot of motherfuckers died, bro. And they had shipped us to like some country town in Louisiana. I was a little bit of boy, you hear me? I was about 10 years old, bro. Nigga had shipped us to a country town, bro. And then we had went to Texas. We had moved to Arlington, Texas, you hear me, for a little while type of shit. But I was in Hurricane Katrina, bro. Actually on Canal Street, bro. You hear me? On the top of the hotel, bro. The water was coming in the hotel. That's tough. And I thought that shit was fun. I ain't gonna bullshit y'all, bro. Katrina was fun to me, son, because I was a little bitty boy. Son, nigga was breaking in Foot Locker on Canal Street. Nigga was breaking in Walgreens and shit. Man, nigga was stealing TVs, all type of shit. So I'm looking at that like, man, this shit fun as hell. You hear me? I ain't gonna lie, bro. I had fun doing Katrina, bro. I don't know about the older fools, but I had fun doing Katrina, bro. I ain't gonna hold y'all. I was swimming in the water, in that dirty ass water, with them alligators and the fish. I swear to God.
Efforts to rescue these black people in danger had many people questioning if the state really even cared about their black citizens.
I remember that shit like yesterday.
About black people.
Now look, you might be wondering, what the hell does all of this have to do with YoungBoy? Well, in my opinion, it's important to understand the history of where he comes from, to understand the environment that created the man, as well as the inherent challenges of growing up as a young black man in Louisiana. But that said, there's also plenty of positive influences stemming from YoungBoy's Louisiana upbringing. Despite the state's difficult history when it comes to slavery and civil rights, over the years, the state's multiculturalism would become an asset, spawning creative and artistic communities. Louisiana has a long and rich history when it comes to music. In the early 1800s, the influx of enslaved Africans brought with them a diverse array of musical traditions and talents. Musical traditions which merged with the existing French, Spanish, and Native American influences in Louisiana. The fusion of these diverse cultural elements led to the birth of unique musical styles such as Creole music and jazz. Then, during the Civil War, music would play a significant role in both the North and the South. In Louisiana, Confederate songs and abolitionist tunes were composed, reflecting the region's divided sentiments on the issue. Some people wanted slavery to end, and their ops wanted it to continue. And you could probably argue that these might represent some of the earliest examples of diss songs, with soldiers on both sides of the Civil War actually playing music that would hype up their troops and boost morale to prepare them for battle. After the Civil War, as time would go on, Louisiana creatives would continue to experiment with music. Blues music is believed to have originated in the Deep South in the late 1800s and early 1900s. The African American communities in New Orleans are credited with pioneering jazz music in the early 1910s, and in the 1950s, more new musical genres emerged, like swamp pop, where young Cajuns and Creoles would combine traditional French Louisiana music with New Orleans-style rhythm and blues and country and western music, as well as the more low-tempo swamp blues originating in the black communities of southwest Louisiana. Into the 50s and 60s, the civil rights movement would further impact Louisiana's music scene, as African American musicians leveraged their talents to amplify the call for racial equality, often using their platforms to shed light on the struggles that they had faced. R&B and soul music, with their origins in gospel and blues, would become vehicles for expressing the aspirations of the African American community. And then of course, as hip-hop emerged in the 80s and boomed through the 90s, a whole wave of aspirational southern rappers would emerge from Louisiana's biggest cities. In New Orleans, modern rap was pioneered by Master P and his No Limit clique, later being taken to brave new heights in hip-hop's bling era by the likes of Cash Money Records, headed by Birdman and his prodigy Lil Wayne, who would arguably go on to become one of the greatest rappers of all time and my personal favourite. And while the flashy antics of bling rappers might come across to some as tasteless, others would be inspired by these emerging black role models who were showing the world through artistry that a persecuted black man in the Deep South could become a multi-millionaire and build generational wealth off the back of sharing their lived experience through music. Now, things still aren't perfect, but the success of rap music in the Deep South represents a triumph over repression to me. And I'm telling you all of this because all of this history is very important context. Because the social circumstances that persisted in Louisiana over hundreds of years all led up to a single moment in time. where the perfect circumstances existed to create one of the modern day's most exciting and controversial music artists. People in Louisiana have been using their music to express their pain and tell their perspective on life for hundreds of years. And in the modern day Louisiana, one voice stands out above all others. The voice of a young boy who experienced one of the harshest upbringings modern day Louisiana had to offer. And that young boy was able to put all of his pain, trauma, and triumphs into his music. Modern day music that is still unmistakably Southern. So, now you know the city, let's take a closer look at that young boy, YoungBoy.
Pacifico is brewed for those who let go.
YoungBoy was born Kentrell Deshaun Gordon in 1999, and over the years, he's been known by many names. NBA YoungBoy, YoungBoy Never Broke Again, Top, YB, AI YoungBoy, and the list goes on. Now, YoungBoy by no means had it easy as a kid. He grew up on the north side of Baton Rouge, more specifically North 38th Street and Chippewa Street. This led to another nickname that appears frequently in YoungBoy's songs and albums, 38 Baby. In fact, YoungBoy's legendary lyrics about 38th and Chippewa, where he grew up, has even attracted superfans who would film themselves driving down the very streets that YoungBoy would play on as a child. But life on 38th Street was not kind to a young YoungBoy. His father, Jeffrey Staden, wasn't in his life growing up, as he had apparently been sentenced to 55 years in jail when YoungBoy was just 8 years old. This monster sentence was punishment for the armed robbery of a Baton Rouge convenience store on December the 1st, 2009. YoungBoy's father, along with 3 other men, one of whom was his brother Dallas, had apparently robbed Albie's convenience store on North Sherwood Forest. The robbery got ugly, and YoungBoy's father shot a store clerk in the leg during this altercation. This would earn him charges of armed robbery and attempted first-degree murder. He would plead not guilty, and after a jury trial, the state would find him guilty as charged on 2 counts, getting himself 10 years for the robbery and 50 years for the attempted murder. Many years later, YoungBoy would even reference his father's incarceration, rapping on the song Cross Me that it was actually his uncle, his father's brother, that was there for the robbery, who snitched and got him 55 years in jail. As well as referencing...
You lying to me. So y'all mean to sit up and tell me YoungBoy daddy did a hit with his uncle and his uncle ratted on him and he gave him 55 years in jail? That's tough. I see what my grandpa always told me. Say, nigga, you do a crime, don't do it when the other nigga do it by yourself. I'm like, nigga, why? Why you telling me that? Cause nigga gonna tell on you. You ain't gonna tell on yourself. So goddamn, shit, no, that's tough. Nigga told on that man, bro.
On the song Where the Love At, where he raps that he prays he doesn't become an alcoholic like his father, as well as paying respects and suggesting that his father needs a second chance at life because robbing people for their money was how he was trying to provide for his family. It seemed like both sides of YoungBoy's family had a history of robbery, as his uncle on his mother's side was also an alleged known robber in Baton Rouge. However, unfortunately, he would suffer a worse fate than YoungBoy's father. Andy Golden, the uncle who YoungBoy referenced a couple of times in his music, was apparently shot in the head during a robbery attempt. YoungBoy mentions on the track Acquittal how he heard stories about how his uncle was shot in the head, implying that their relationship was most likely non-existent if YoungBoy had to rely on stories to hear all about his life. As well as in the track R.I.P. Lil Dave, when YoungBoy speaks of his uncle who got shot in the head and died while hitting a lick. Further references to this are heard on the track 38 Baby, when YoungBoy outright declares that Andy Golden was his uncle, which means that robbery is in his genes. I mean, just take a second to think about the situation that YoungBoy was dealing with here as a child. His father is serving 55 years for robbery, with one uncle who snitched on him, and his other uncle was also a prolific robber who got shot in the head and killed during a robbery. All this would leave him as a lost child with no father figure who even saw robbery as part of his DNA. That's a heavy situation for an 8-year-old kid to be dealing with. And with no father figure in his life, YoungBoy would have to rely on the females in his family to look after him and make him a man. Despite his mother Sharonda Golden being alive, she apparently wasn't there for YoungBoy as a child at all times. So, he would initially be raised by his loving grandmother Alice Golden, but unfortunately, YoungBoy's grandmother would pass away too, leaving him devastated for years to come. YoungBoy would open up about the loss of his grandmother in a Billboard interview in 2023, calling her his protector. After losing his grandmother, with his father in jail and his mother out of the picture, YoungBoy wound up in a group home, and it would be here that he would be subject to physical abuse and bullying. He would later explain in a Billboard interview that it was this experience of being targeted in the group home that led him to cultivate his own dark and violent side for protection. Clearly, YoungBoy had to fight for survival as a child. In fact, He actually broke his neck whilst he was wrestling as a toddler. This was a serious injury which required him to wear a full neck and head brace whilst his spine healed. This was a corrective procedure which left him with the 3 iconic head scars that he has on his head to this day, an everyday reminder on his face of just one painful incident that he endured as a child, and something his enemies are still quick to use against him, with the hurtful moniker Denthead often being levied against him. YoungBoy had gone through so many traumatic experiences as a child, it's unsurprising that he would grow up dealing with a lot of pain. But even outside of the tragedies in his own family, YoungBoy would also suffer losses outside the home. When he was just age 10, he would end up losing one of his closest childhood friends to gun violence. As a child, YoungBoy was friends with another boy who was around 6 years older than him, a boy by the name of David Cobb, aka Lil Dave. On March the 27th, 2010, a memorial picnic.
So that's the little dude YB always talking about in his songs. Lil Dave, that's tough.
At a park on Woodpecker Street in Scotlandville in Baton Rouge. This event was intended to honour Dave was killed. In the song Better Man, YoungBoy would claim as a child, and something his enemies are still quick to use against him, with the hurtful moniker Denthead often being levied against him. YoungBoy had gone through so many traumatic experiences as a child, it's unsurprising that he would grow up dealing with a lot of pain. But even outside of the tragedies in his own family, YoungBoy would also suffer losses outside the home. When he was just age 10, he would end up losing one of his closest childhood friends to gun violence. As a child, YoungBoy was friends with another boy who was around 6 years older than him, a boy by the name of David Cobb, aka Lil Dave. On March the 27th, 2010, a memorial picnic was being held at a park on Woodpecker Street in Scotlandville in Baton Rouge. This event was intended to honour the memory of local teens who had lost their lives to gun violence. But unfortunately, the very thing that this event was intending to shed a light on would end up happening that same day, because at some point, a fight broke out and bullets started flying. One of those bullets hit 16-year-old David Cobb in the spine, and despite there being hundreds of witnesses, this case would ultimately go on unsolved, partly due to a fear in the community of retaliation against those who would be seen as a snitch for speaking to law enforcement. As a result, the family of Lil Dave would be left grieving without closure, heartbroken that their child lost his life at an event that was intended to honour teens losing their lives to gun violence. And it wasn't just Dave's family who were devastated by this loss. YoungBoy himself would be distraught and traumatised by losing a friend to gun violence so young. He would go on to rap about the loss of Lil Dave and the effect that it had on him years later. YoungBoy would rap on the song For Keeps with Rich the Kid that Dave was killed by a chopper or machine gun and that he wishes he could call him. Also, on the aptly named song Homicide, YoungBoy expresses his desire to get revenge and kill the person who took Dave's life, as well as saying that he knows Lil Dave is still with him on the song PART1. On the song Cage Feeling, YoungBoy speaks about the death of Lil Dave, saying that this loss turned his heart cold and made him become a killer. The fact that YoungBoy was no stranger to loss of friends and family at such a young age just goes to show you the kind of environment he was growing up in, and the factors that coerced him into the kind of lifestyle he would go on to live. But YoungBoy was already being influenced by the streets. He would actually later rap in the song Life that Lil Dave was the person who taught him how to smoke, shoot dice, and get money for sneakers. He also said that he felt life began getting crazy for him when Lil Dave was killed. In the song Better Man, YoungBoy would claim to be tormented by the image of Lil Dave's murder in his mind, and on the track How I'm Living, he would vow to make the people responsible bleed for what they did to Dave. Later on the unreleased track Hold 13, that appeared only in a trailer for his hit album Top, YoungBoy would rap a lyric which some believe is him actually confessing that when he made his first $20,000, he spent it on a hitman to get revenge on Lil Dave's killer. With this traumatic and personal loss, combined with his family's reputation when it came to robberies, it's no surprise then that as a young teenager, YoungBoy dropped out of school in the 9th grade and got heavily involved in the streets, becoming a teenage robber just like his father and uncle. YoungBoy would later tell DJ Smalls Eyes in an interview that after his grandmother died, he started robbing himself and ultimately wound up in jail for a robbery at just age 14.
I grew up stealing and taking from people. And like, well, at first, my grandma used to take care of me. And when my grandma died, it started catching my attention at a younger age. See, I got booked for robbery at my age 14.
Ultimately, YoungBoy found himself in a youth detention center for this robbery. But perhaps this would be a blessing in disguise, as while he was incarcerated, he would claim to have found his purpose in life, beginning to write music and using that as a way to express himself and cope with the pains of life, vowing to become an artist rather than a criminal.
I ain't gonna say it was the best thing that happened. It helped me on my life. Yeah, within them 6 months, I wrote at least like 25 songs with no beats. It was basically what I was going through, how I was feeling. It helped me learn how to express myself.
YoungBoy's family were actually always interested.
I always said it in my reactions, bro, like, this nigga YB express himself in these songs so good. This little bitch paint pictures for you, bro. Like, you'll think you was at the murder scenes. You'll think you was on the hit with YB. That's tough. So, that's how YB's, he just said it, like, nigga, I went to jail, and I wrote 25 songs with no beats, bro. And I learned how to express myself. So that nigga learned how to express himself with music in jail. That's tough. We gotta run that shit back, because I always talk about that.
It helped me learn how to express myself.
YoungBoy's family were actually always interested in music. YoungBoy claimed to have written his own obscene rap lyrics in the 4th grade, and he had apparently been taken to the studio by his mother, who herself was also an aspiring rapper. And his father had even written to him from jail, telling him that he had been writing music during his 55-year sentence, and encouraging YoungBoy to focus on music too. So, upon his release from jail for robbery, YoungBoy would return to 38th Street with little more than just a dream of becoming a rapper, along with a lifetime of trauma. And before he could get anywhere with his rap career, he would at least need a stable environment to live in. Luckily, he ended up finding a new place in the neighborhood to call home, with YoungBoy rapping on the song Life that he met his friend 33 riding his bike down Chippewa, and that 33's mother accepted him into their home like family. According to 33, him and YoungBoy are essentially brothers, as the two grew up with the same mother, Monique. But Monique is really 33's biological mother, as we know that YoungBoy is the biological son of Sharonda Golden. But due to the fact that 33's mother Monique helped raise YoungBoy, he often refers to her as his mother as well, which would make 33 his adopted brother, and the two do seem to have a relationship that is stronger than most real brothers. And because of this, the two basically just say they're real brothers.
You said you knew him since you were 4?
Since when?
Because you guys are brothers, and you were born around each other, so it's like you don't have any memories of not knowing them.
No, it's like you know how both our dad is split up, you know what I'm saying? So we got the same mamas. It's like, man, really, I started making music with my brother. Just really inspired me to go in the booth, because it really wasn't about me. It was really about YoungBoy, and I was pushing him. And one day he just told me, man, look, come do this with me. And he pushed me to go in the booth, and I just took a liking into it, and that's where it really started from. So shout out YB.
Meanwhile, YoungBoy's relationship with his own biological mother Sharonda was up and down during his childhood. Years down the line, he would open up about this on the song Lonely Child from his October 2019 project AI YoungBoy 2, when he says that even though he called 33's mother Monique his adopted mother, he still needs Sharonda in his life. Perhaps due to the lack of a real father figure growing up, meant that he had to rely on both of his mothers for emotional and mental support. But anyway, after getting out of juvenile and finding a new safe space to call home, YoungBoy's new spiritual brother 33 would be supportive of his aspirations as a rapper, and together this brotherly duo would get back to finessing on the streets to pay for studio time, eventually with YoungBoy getting enough recording time in to produce a full-length musical project. And by April the 10th, 2015, YoungBoy had released his first ever mixtape, Life Before Fame. This tape featured tracks like Homicide and Range Rover, which showed a 15-year-old YoungBoy truly had the skills to pay the bills early on. The album begins with an intro where YoungBoy mentions an affiliate of his named D-Dog catching a body. This sets the mood for the
not to mention, y'all know D-Dog just got out of jail? I ain't gonna lie, but the streets in trouble. I recommend everybody to hide their kids, hide their wives and these dogs, bro. In your cars, bro. Put your cars in your garage, dog. D-Dog is home, bro. But like I said, bro, I am not about to sit up in here and react to this whole goddamn documentary, bro. My ass hurt, ass bone hurt, and all type of shit, bro. I ain't gonna hold y'all. So y'all let me know if y'all want part 2. We most definitely gonna get y'all part 2, bro. I swear to God, bro. I'm about done with this vid. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Interesting documentary, bro, about NBA YoungBoy. Is he a real killer or a real gangster? That's tough. Class start session, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all let me know if y'all want part 2, and I'll get y'all part 2, but I swear to God, I mean that. Catch y'all in the next video.
Come on out of there! Next time I'm gonna shoot you in the one that wink and not the one that stink. I'll beatbox your ass.
That's some double D. Big titties on her shit, I know she really like that. Spit a gain a whole click when a nigga really cutting up. Say you want war, how you gon' beef if you ain't got funds? Spit a gain a whole click, my nigga live anything. Chain hanging to the floor.